There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey guys, what's going on? And thanks for tuning in to another CMA Connected Lunchtime Learning Session. I'm your host, Ben Wu. This journey for today's episode started a couple weeks back as we were chatting up with the team over at MSC, and they announced this really cool contest. Now, we haven't heard much about the contest since then, but I did peep a few posts going across the timeline on different social media platforms. So I think we're going to get a little bit of an unveiling of what went down. So let's find out from the source and get our guest on board with us today. So joining us is, of course, Mr. Larry Penn. How are you, Larry?
Hey, Ben. Great, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. We also got Chris with us, of course.
Hey, Ben.
What's going on, CVR?
Living the dream.
Are we giving a chance for them Cali boys to come on with us for once this time?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and bring on Jason, because I know he was having. Oh, I was worried about you this morning, Jay.
Me? Oh,
yeah.
no,
I thought you blew your back up from shoveling all that sunshine off your driveway.
That's how we do it in Arizona.
Do you see the look on my face?
No, I can put some in a box and send some over.
Arizona is a lovely place. I remember flying over for the first time wondering what the heck's going on with all these swimming pools and back canals. But now I get it. Super cool. Super, super cool. Gentlemen, we have no time to waste. We've got a star-studded show lined up today. We've got all kinds of guests waiting in the back studio to come on, bursting at the seams to figure out and find out the results of this contest that you guys put into place about the new conductor switch, button, controller, whatever you want to call it. Larry, tell us the deal. What was going on with the contest?
I'm just going to switch it over to Chris so he can explain what we're talking about here, and then I'll come back to the contest.
Perfect.
So we got this really cool little controller, this guy here. So this gives you a unique way to access and control a lot of our new ACO processor DSP products. Audiotec Fischer, the team in Germany, put together this really cool outside-the-box controller to allow us to do a lot of the different things. The processors have gotten so capable, but we haven't really seen a good way to integrate nicely into a car while still maintaining that big range of features that's available. So this little knob, this one dial right here, gives you the ability to do a bunch of different stuff. You've got 4 different volume controls. You've got 10 different sound setup presets that are switchable. Bluetooth control. So if you've got a Bluetooth device run directly into the DSP, you can actually not only control track forward, track back, and volume, but even pairing of the process all through this little guy right here. So we wanted to take this and find out what could be done when we started to let the creativity flow. So we reached out to a bunch of our friends, dealer supporters, and partners across North America, and took some of the guys that are doing huge support.
We still hear you, Chris. Keep going.
Okay. Guys that are familiar with the products, but guys that are integrators, guys that are doing everything they can to go through and bring a level of integration into the cars that we're not seeing out there from the masses, and just cut them loose and see what they could do with this platform. And we were absolutely blown away as we started to see pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff strolling across social media of super cool stuff that was factory looking, simple integrations, and then over the top stuff that we wouldn't even have thought imaginable when this whole thing started. So it's been a lot of fun to watch over the last handful of weeks and see it come together. So today's going to be a lot of fun kind of compiling this stuff and talking to the brains behind all of this.
Yeah, you know what? It's totally bringing back exactly the same emotion and feeling I got when I first saw it. And that was, oh God, what are these guys going to do with this thing? Because it's slick looking. It's really modern. It can go into so many places. And I'm really hoping to see some unique ideas as to, you know, what these fabricators have figured out and really, this is just a first run, like 1.0. Here it is. What can you guys do?
Yeah, these guys have never had. Hang on one sec, Chris. You want to just mute for a second?
Your microphone there.
There we go.
Yeah.
These guys have really never seen this thing before. We shipped it to them in a box with a letter and said, "Congratulations, you're in this build off, and let's see what you got." So today with us, we have Dave Cause from Signature Audio. We have Tyler Neault from Certified Autosound. We have Matt Schaeffer from Musaic and the sound effects crew. We have Pierce Barrett from down in Musicar in Portland, and we have Art from Audio by Art, our friends in Texas, where I guess it's freezing today. It's 45 degrees in Texas. So we had this big chat about the weather this morning. So these guys are the finalists in the contest, and then we had some people that we sent out the conductor to that went way crazy. And all these little LEDs that are around here, they had pulled them off the board, and we're making some pretty crazy science projects, and some had some issues with that because these are just not LEDs, and I'm not going to get into the technical aspect of it. But the whole contest was based around, and I'll just take you through this. So first off, it was cosmetic integration. How does it fit into the vehicle in terms of cosmetics? Are the colors the same? Is the look the same? Then we went into ergonomics. Is it easy to use? Is it safe to use? And then into the integrity of the installation. Is it going to fall out of the dash, or is it mounted solidly? And what were the mounting methods and all those other things? And then bonus points were given to those who took that message to social media, and a couple of you guys did a really good job with that. So that's the criteria of the show, and it's really not a contest. These guys are all friends in the field. They're our dealer partners. We love them all, and this was just a way to open up our minds and get some excitement going with this conductor controller. So
Artistic Showcase Challenge.
There you go. Should have had you name it.
Well, I want to throw this over to Jason real quick. Expectation-wise, when you've seen this piece and when you realize the type of fabricators that want to get involved and put their creativity towards it, what type of expectation do you have going before we start unveiling some of the final pieces?
It was such a new piece, and when you look at it, it seemed like this should be pretty easy to integrate, but the expectation level, I think, was pretty high just from the guys that were involved in the, in this event, and really didn't disappoint. I mean, there were a lot of really good entries, and these guys, I know they worked really hard on it. And it's interesting because there's so many different variations, right, on interpretation of something like this, on how it integrates, and different fabrication methods, the tooling and the detail that everybody went to was really cool. So we were pretty excited to see and to watch over the last couple of weeks on how guys were putting it together, and how much work really went into it was really cool.
Well said. So just to bring this back full circle, so if you're tuning in live, or you're watching this for the first time or on demand, we are talking about a brand new controller for DSP for the Audiotec brand family of products, whether that be for Match, for Helix, or for Brax. This is a controller that replaces the previous controller model. Help me out, Larry.
It doesn't replace, just adds to. Yeah,
it
so adds to the Director and the URC3.
There you go. So now that we have the stage set, what say we bring on our first fabricator?
Absolutely. I'd like to introduce to the world Mr. Art from Audio by Art in Texas.
All the way from Texas. What's going on, Art? Hola.
How you doing?
So first, a little bit about Art. I had known about Art from my previous life in another brand, but since working very closely with Art now, Art's part of the family. This dude is the most passionate, most excitable guy when it comes to audio. I don't know if you haven't seen some of his posts. You should look, because it always ends with Art showing the goosebumps with the hair standing up on his arms. He understands what we talk about as far as music is an emotional deal, and that's what we're selling. And I want to thank Art for just being that guy. He's in Texas. Every job he does, he gets better and better and better at. And he's a one-man show there and is working really hard, sometimes too hard, burning himself out. But we've had that discussion as recently as yesterday. And he's just that guy. And
Cool.
Dude, we love you.
Welcome to the show, Art. I'm going to dive right in. What did you think of the piece when you first received it at your shop?
Wow. As soon as I got it, I mean, the first thing that came to mind was it's just a beautiful piece on its own. I mean, it's just a really nice piece. The fit and finish, it's small enough that it fits. I mean, like, it just opened up so many possibilities. But once I got it to install and I actually got to play with it, I was just amazed on how much thought actually went into it. For instance, when I installed it, right, and the fact that you're able to put where the LED starts and stops, that is just mind-blowing. I finished installing it. Actually, the LED started on the right side, so you couldn't really see it. Went into the software, I was able to change the orientation, and that right there just told me how much the guys in Germany just design it and put how much thought of it. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, to be honest. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, so we have a video of what you did with this piece. Let's go to the video, and then we can come back and comment on it.
Cool.
And there's the signature hair. The signature. I'm guessing it's an arm. I don't know. It could be any body part, but I'm going to guess that's an arm. I'm going to throw this to Chris. Talk to us about what you saw there. Oh, microphone, Chris. Yep.
I think Art did a great job. I mean, that was the kind of thing that we expected to see a lot of with the Conductor, is because of its size and its form factor, it fits in a ton of different places. So where a lot of our the end use consumers that are using the Audiotec Fischer DSPs are looking for preset control and Bluetooth control and some of those auxiliary above and beyond type features, but our director controller, which is about singled in sized, a little bit bigger actually, doesn't fit in a lot of these modern cars. So when this design came out that allowed that capabilities, but in a much nicer form factor, we knew we were going to start to see a lot more integration of that kind of stuff. And Art found a great spot. I think that's his Volkswagen sitting right behind him that got installed into. And it's a car that is really limited in terms of dash space. Everything's neat, tidy. Volkswagen's done a beautiful job on that interior of integrating everything, and adding to that without making something stick out like a sore thumb is tough. And I think Art did a spot-on job of keeping something functional, easy to use, practical, and looking like it belongs in there. So we were really excited to see Art's submission on that front.
And what's your comment on that, Art?
Well, just like I stated, it is a really small piece. So just like Chris said, it is really kind of hard when it comes to Volkswagen to find a spot. So as I started searching, that just like screamed Conductor. And that's exactly what I did. And I also wanted to show in my video that it is possible to fabricate, with a couple simple pieces and whatnot. It is something that paddle itself, if we ever need to go back to stock, it's easily replaceable. So I think I hit all the parameters for the contest in that sense. Also, it blends really well with the rest of the little buttons, and the fact that you're able to change the LED and match the color, and you're able to change or match the intensity of the LEDs. I mean, it went really, really well. And the fact that I'm able to show that to clients, I actually been able to upsell a couple of clients based on the fact that I have it right there. So it's
Sweet.
It's just an amazing piece, to be honest. And I love the flexibility of it.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you for your participation. Larry, what do we have to say to Arturo before we let him go?
Art, again, thanks for your participation. Oh, I got to unmute my mic here.
I just want to thank Art for his participation in that, right down through his little video. I thought that was pretty cool. Good sounding audio on the video, by the way, too, Art. And thanks for being Art. And hang around. We're gonna bring everybody back on after in a bit here.
All right. Thank you, Art. All right. What do we got? Who do we got next? Not what. Who do we got next, Larry?
Well, he's not a what. He's a cool dude, and you'll see right down to the hair when you see a picture of him. The girls will be lining up to get his autograph. But I'd like to introduce Mr. Pierce from Musicar Northwest in Portland.
Hello. Welcome to CMA, Pierce.
Hi, guys.
So Pierce, I'm just going to go ahead and ask the question first. I'm going to ask everybody the same question when you get on. What was your first impression when you finally got the conductor in your hands?
So I had actually talked to Doug like a week or 2 weeks before, and I was trying to get information from him. Like, hey, like, what's it look like? What's it do? And Doug didn't know anything. And he just kind of kept me in the dark. And so I didn't really have much like an expectation. So when it showed up, it was everything I wanted and more. I've always kind of been fascinated with like different knobs and different controllers for audio systems, because in my mind, the way I look at it is, you know, with these high performance audio systems, they're, you know, we sell them as an, you know, it's an emotional piece. So if you have a controller that basically that's the control over the entire audio system. So if that gives you, you know, a nice feel, a nice control, and I mean everything that comes with it, it's basically controlling that emotion. So when you're in the vehicle and you're turning it and it's getting louder, or you're adjusting things, and you know, if it works just the way it should, you know, it kind of sets the basis for everything else. And I've always kind of been, you know, a lot of the, you know, different processor or controllers from the processors, they kind of lack certain things, and this one hit every mark. You know, everything that I've ever wanted in a controller, it had. And it wasn't massive, it wasn't huge. And, you know, here at Musicar, we don't really, like, the way we integrate certain things is most of the time you can't even really tell anything's been added. And it was perfect.
So more the stealth approach.
Yes, definitely.
So we have some images of your install. Why don't you set us up with what the concept or philosophy behind what you were going for here before we show the images?
So it was for a Tesla Model X. And you can argue that there's a lot of places to install it in a Tesla, but something that I paid a lot of attention to and very cognizant of is there's certain aspects of that interior that you don't really want to compromise. You know, the way it's designed, the symmetry in the dash and certain things is like, there's not a lot of available space that is accessible. It's easy to use, and it's centrally located. So I really wanted something that was integrated, but at the same time had a little bit of flash to it, just to kind of show off this new controller and kind of show what we can do with it.
All right, I'm going to throw up this image. I'll let you talk through it and explain what we're looking at.
So that is actually underneath the Tesla tablet screen. And, you know, from this picture, you wouldn't really actually know that there was a conductor there. But it, you know, with photography, it's sometimes difficult to capture pictures of LEDs. And what I actually did was that knob basically overlay, you know, is actually wider or bigger than the physical controller itself. So when you're sitting in the driver's seat, the angle of it and the way it's mounted in that pocket, those LEDs are actually casting a glow around the knob. So that way that, you know, you can watch the LEDs as they trace around you, you know exactly what you're doing, but at the same time, it's not an obstruction to the driver. And, you know, with the ability to adjust, you know, the intensity of it and how fast it goes back to its, you know, it's, I guess, like sleep state. And after like 7 seconds or predetermined time, it basically will dim That way it matches the rest of the interior. But when you're using it, it light up so that way that you see, you see better as to what's going on. And it just fit very well in there. And the knob itself I have a lot of experience with home hi-fi and home 2 channel. And something that I wanted to carry over was on a high-end DAC. Similar to like the Sony GS9, the way the knob feels, that's very important to me because it's something that feels so nice and so solid. And that's exactly what I achieved here with this new conductor controller. I had a knob machined. It's a 38 millimeter knob that I had machined. It's about an inch and a quarter tall, and it's got little knurls on the like around the side of it, so that when you're twisting it, it has a little bit of weight to it and a little bit of resistance, and it just gives it a really nice feel.
Kind of like that home stereo, high-end machined aluminum kind of feel. It's got some resistance to it a little bit, maybe because of the weight.
Yes,
right.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Cool, Jason. I'm going to throw it over to you. Your thoughts on Pierce's take on this?
So you have to admire just the elegance of it and how it integrates and the thoughtfulness of the knob and how Pierce did the mount and was aware of the way the LEDs were going to glow through. I could tell that there was a lot of thought process to go behind that. So you have to really look at it as, it's integrating the car really well. It looks really good. It highlights what the conductor does. And then on top of all that, Pierce machined his own knob to give it an even more high-end feel, which matches the way the car is, right? So it didn't take away from anything in the car, and actually, did something that if Tesla would do it, it would be similar to
right.
that. So it was, when we saw those pictures, and I thought it was really cool. I think he did a really good job, and I really like the way that knob kind of sits in there and how the LEDs glow around it. So that was pretty awesome, man.
Did you have to change anything to the post, or did you machine the knob to fit onto did you have to extend the post in any way, or?
So that's where it gets complex, and that's where a lot of the things that when you post something online, people that don't really get to see. So the shaft actually, something I had to limit the travel, because on the rotary encoder, you have to click it to get to the next menu. So basically, I had to laser out these tiny, tiny little acrylic rings that basically sat on the shaft that then pushed the knob out. That way, there was still enough travel so the knob would push down, but it's still, it was still solid, because I found out if I pushed it too far, it kind of almost wobbled, and it didn't give that solid feel. So there's those small details that sometimes you don't get to share with everybody.
Which is why I asked you that, because not only you have to worry about the outside of the knob, but you have to worry about how it fits to the original post on the inside, the shaft, as you referred to.
Yeah.
Great. Really cool take, man. Thank you for being part of that and bringing that to the table. And of course, stick around. We're going to bring you back at the end.
Thanks, guys.
All right. That was Pierce from Musicar. Good crew over there. Larry, who do we have up next?
Next up is a very well-known gentleman from Matt Schaeffer from Musaic. Matt is a fairly new partner with MSC at the partner retail level, and we're super excited to have him. And this was really Matt's first exposure to our product and everything else. And when you see what he's done, I think you'll probably be real impressed.
We've had Matt on before and featured what he does, so my expectation is high as far as fit and finish. So let's see where Matt went with it. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Welcome back again, Matt.
How you doing?
Oh my! Is that your shop that's sparkling behind you, or is that a green screen?
No, that's that's a shop.
Looks
like a living room.
Okay. My God! And you actually use the saw and the router in this shop of yours?
Yeah. So this is a laser room. So we have two computers here and here,
Okay.
and then the next room we have the wood room, same floors.
Awesome.
The room right in front of me is a sanding room, has the same floors, and then the room in front of that is an upholstery room with the same floors.
That's sweet. Congratulations on that, Matt. I'm pretty excited to see your thought process when so tell us how did you feel when you first received the conductor unit?
So it's funny of what Larry said is, we're very new to the line. When I saw the post originally of this part, to be honest, that's kind of what sparked me to be like, all right, I need to be a dealer. I need to have this controller because I can see myself using it in so many different situations. And the big thing that I look for in a DSP controller is obviously versatility, adaptability, being able to put it in a factory location without doing a ton of modification. And that's kind of where a lot of other controllers just become cumbersome. They're big, and other things is you want to change things very quickly, right? If we're using multiple sources, we want to very quickly be able to go through maybe like an analog input, a Bluetooth input, and then back to the factory, because if you're using Bluetooth from the factory, phone call, you got to be able to switch to it really quick without doing a bunch of, coding, right? So this piece is absolutely awesome. The picture that they showed of it, I think it was in a Mercedes, just looked very elegant and nice, and I see myself using it in so many different situations.
Very, very cool. So going into what you did with it, what was the thought process or the philosophy going in, the concept?
So I did it it's a 79 Corvette Stingray that I'm working on at the moment. And with this project, I'm basically recreating a lot of the material or the interior. And I had the option to kind of put it in whatever position would work best. So in this car, I'm making basically a center console. I did stuff behind the seats, and I have this floating center console that kind of comes from the subwoofer enclosure, and then it goes into a physical armrest that hovers over the center console. And sitting in the car, I was able to kind of map out exactly where your arm and hand sits. And I was able to get the controller literally right at the point in which your hand rests, right? So again, the console is hovering, so the bottom, the top, and the middle, they're all finished, so you can't see like any wires or anything. It literally routes through the console, and there's a bunch of aluminum in order to kind of make what I'm doing kind of fit the style of the 79, because obviously there's aluminum accents everywhere. So basically what we did is we put it in the position we made at the top of the, this whole floating console, what you see there, and we finish it off with an aluminum ring that we then brought that same look into. We did an Alpine Halo 9 radio, and there's two air vents that we custom did over top, and I did the same aluminum ring, and the air vents are black. So when you look in the car, the controller with the air vents, they all have the same identical look. So I think when you're sitting in this car, not knowing any better, you would think that this is some sort of like factory piece. And the controller's, so beautiful. I didn't really recreate it, and we're using multiple presets. So I wanted to have the ability to easily see, what preset number you're on as you're switching through. So like I said, that whole piece was completely handmade, done. The aluminum splits the middle between the top and the bottom piece. And like I said, we're just kind of going for simplicity, functionality, and a sense of elegance and OEM style with this controller.
Chris, I'm going to throw it back to you on your comments on Matt's creation.
Well, I think Matt covered off exactly.
Oh, microphone again, Chris. There you go.
I think Matt covered off exactly what we interpreted out of that build is you have a car that he's adding all of this modern technology to that has the ability to be a totally different experience and change everything about that thing. But with the fabrication and the design that he's done, which has always been what Matt's been known for, he's been able to capture all of the benefits of the modern tech, but integrate it in a way that looks as if it was there from day one. I mean, we've all been in old cars, with futuristic features in there at the time, things like that knob in there. I remember the old console fader controls in some of the 80s Mercedes and stuff like that. There was lots of little things. And with the aluminum accents, I mean, as soon as I saw the first picture of it, the dish of that piece of aluminum that conductor rests into is just, holy cow. Like, this is absolutely awesome.
So factory looking.
Yeah, and you know, the edges around that piece in the console, I mean, all the little touches were there. The conductor itself was left in a pretty factory condition in that one. So from a standpoint of usability, Audiotec Fischer, with the lights that they've got in there, using the aluminum knob that's on there to start with, they've given you a really great platform to build off of, and you can do, obviously, as you can see, some really, really cool stuff along the way.
I have a question for you, Matt. From a difficulty standpoint, is it hard to teach a customer on how to use this unit to control their system?
No, and again, that's why I love it so much, because it's so simple. When you're talking about other controllers from other brands, it becomes very difficult, in which you're going over and over and over again. And the way that I always do all of my jobs is you always have multiple presets. I never leave just like the radio as a source. You know, I'm always putting like an analog input from a high res player. Sometimes we're adding, you know, obviously a Bluetooth, you know, aptX HD type source. So I'm always using multiple presets, which means you're always going to do more than just control sub bass or overall volume. And like, that's the beautiful thing, is you can easily see the volume percentage you're at. You can switch it. Obviously, it'll change colors and then show you the subwoofer control with the same volume ring. And then you can then go to a preset and then see exactly what preset you're on. And again, you can switch everything just with, you know, 3 clicks, and you're good. And that's why this piece is so special, because it's so tiny, it's so just simple, and you know, everyone is going to be able to understand what you're doing when you're using it.
Dare I say, from a user standpoint, it might even be fun.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have to go through a million like, I understand exactly what you mean by the simplicity, because a lot of other controllers, you know, there's submenus and screens and all these things you got to deal with. And the reason I ask you this question is there has been comments of, you know, from a user standpoint, DSP is so frustrating sometimes, because like, once I leave the shop, I don't know how to go back to what I heard or whatnot. So from what you're saying, it sounds as pretty well thought out from a user standpoint.
Yeah, and it's very simple. And like in the case of how we added it to this Corvette is, you know, obviously the 79 interior is just like so tiny and compact and kind of awkward in a sense. And where the halo is, it would just be kind of cumbersome to like constantly change volume from the halo. And in this case, I mean, you're just sitting there and
on the steering wheel and just
right in front of it, and then and basically it just falls right at the volume control. So super cool. Just super functional, simplistic, and you know, fits the design of kind of where we took the interior.
Well done, Mr. Schaeffer. Thank you for your participation.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, stick around. We'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, moving along. That was a good entry. That, you know, I didn't expect any less, of course, but that you're right. I think Chris said it. That machine aluminum ring is, you know, pretty top notch for sure. Up next, who do we have up next, Larry?
Well, this build got a lot of social media attention from a dude who's pretty reserved in his talents, and did an amazing job at integrating this into his own personal car, which is a very important thing to note, because he's using it every day, and he'll have a good perspective on the controller, and is good feedback for us as partners, because we always like to listen to how we can better ourselves. So I'd like to introduce Dave Cause from Signature Audio in Arizona.
All right, welcome from Arizona, Mr. Cause.
What's up, everybody?
So you saw the piece and you're like, mine.
How's everybody doing today?
This is going in my car.
Oh my God, I was calling Doug and texting Doug back and forth like, hey, where's this piece? I see it on the internet. It's beautiful. I need it. And with my imagination, the second I seen it, it just started going wild. It exploded in my mind. I was like, oh, it could go here. It could go here. It could go here. I could do this. I could do that. And I was just super excited. And then when I actually got my hands on it, I was blown away by it. The elegance, the feel of it, the smoothness of the rotation of the knob, everything about it makes it pretty seamless to as integrators to allow it to integrate or be fabbed into a car relatively easy in a short amount of time.
All right. So we've got some great images of what you've done with it. Why don't you set us up, from your mind as far as when you start thinking about how you wanted to integrate that into your build?
So the car is a 2012 Mini Cooper S, and if anybody's familiar with the car, the interior is very bubbly. Everything's rounded in the vehicle, not many flat surfaces to be able to apply something, even in the smallest diameter. And I drive the car a lot. So I wanted to have the usability of the ease and function and form where I'm not taking my hand or distracting off of the road. So I was like, hey, what better place than my shift knob? And then when it came in and I actually held it up against the shift knob, what do you know, it was damn near close enough to where I knew I could machine it and be able to get it inside of there. And the use and the form and function of it is seamless. I don't have to take my eyes off of the road. I know exactly where it is. I could glance down for a second and see what preset I'm in or what volume I'm at. And then a couple people had brought up to me that it being at the top, what if you switch presets or things like that? Well, it being my own car, me knowing where my comfortable level is, I normally ride at the lower part of the shift knob anyways. So my hands aren't there, so I know I'm not going to be changing sources or volume.
So Dave, walk us or just give us some insight as to these images as I scroll through them in order of install. So this is the first one where you take it apart.
Yeah, that first image there, I took the conductor apart to see on the depth side of what I can do, because the plastic housing itself had a little bit more depth than what I was able to use, and the outer diameter was just a hair big. So I took apart the top of the shifter, started disassembling that, and noticed that the trim ring that was right on the top just happened to be the perfect diameter for the shift knob, for the conductor in order to fit inside of there, and then use some acrylic rings to reduce it from there. Yep, in that image there. So that is a sleeve that essentially slides over the existing aluminum knob, and that allows me to have a nice flush seamless integration of the volume knob, because it was just a hair too small. It needed a little bit more, and also the acrylic works as a diffusing process for the LEDs, so they didn't pixelate. The lower part is an opaque acrylic that's transparent, and then the top is just standard 1/4 inch clear acrylic that allowed me to have that nice shine, and then a thin piece of 0.10 trim ring that got a nice little beveled round over to give that smooth, seamless factory feel. So that image right there, and it ended up going a 1/2 inch deeper than where that currently is, because when I first started getting into it, I really wanted the LEDs up as close so they could be as bright as possible, and not knowing on actually the adjustability of the unit yet, not knowing that I can change the brightness and the intensity of the LEDs or the orientation, which was very cool. Ended up going a 1/2 inch lower so I can get the top of the knob or the top of the volume control to sit flush with that chrome ring. Yep. And that actually has gone down a 32nd more of an inch, which gives it a little bit more of a smooth feel to it, and still gives you enough room to have the adjustability to spin the knob. And then it's all made as one, so you still have the press function in order to change the presets or mode. And then that's it installed. So when I had to install it, had the little bit of creativity involved with this, more than just the conductor it being in the knob itself. I had to figure a way to get that wire through the actual shifter itself, still be structural and not be seen. I lucked out and actually had an aluminum shifter or shifting rod that came on there. So I took the shifter out of the car. I milled a hole in the top of it, brought it halfway down the shift rod, and then did a keyway in order for the wire to go through. So the shifter slides onto the actual shifting rod itself, and then is fastened by 3 set screws, just as like an aftermarket shift knob would be. And then the wire is fed through the actual shifting rod itself.
Because you actually machined the hole to go through the rod itself. Is that what I heard?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Before you continue, the visual is great with the image, but we actually have a quick video just to see the functionality of what that final install looks like. So I'm going to go to the video real quick. And there you have it.
And it's actually a lot smoother. And in this, it looks like I changed, hand position because of the way it was turning. It was because I was actually holding my camera with the wrong hand, and I ended up just getting all curled up. It's nice, smooth, clean.
Yes, sir. Very, very cool. Jason, I'm going to throw this back to your, what comment do you have on this really unique install? Because I personally have never seen anything like that.
So first off, super cool. There's something really neat about being able to integrate a controller into that, into something as functional as a shift knob in a car. So one thing that's really neat that we saw was how Dave integrated that second acrylic ring underneath the chrome shift knob. So not only does the LED glow on the top, but it also glows on the side. So it looks like the whole thing just belongs. So I thought that was really cool. The position is cool. Having that controller there and being able to access, the functionality of the audio system in a place where you're not having to like lean over or, shift your body position around just to access that, I thought was really cool. It was very unique and just a ton of detail, work, from milling that shift rod and just getting it all put back together to look like it just belonged there and it came from the factory there. I thought it was really awesome.
Really, really neat. And I got to give you bonus points for just the thinking and just, a little bit of luck too, right? Because it kind of just fits the right size. Not all cars have shift knobs quite that bulky, I guess, if you will. I happen to know that the Mini is a little bit bulkier than the average shift knob. So for you to put that together and make that work, I thought was really, really cool. Larry, do you have any words for Dave before we let him go and get to our next guest?
Dude, just cool. That's all I got to say. It's cool. And I had a discussion with Dave on this about how he shifts, because he shifts like me where my hand is kind of underneath the shift knob.
Oh, like you do a wine glass shift. You do a wine glass shift.
Bunk, 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 bunk. Yeah. And then you got your thumb to twist the knob around. So great job, Dave. Thanks for participating. Thanks for being our partner, and we appreciate all you do.
All right.
I appreciate that. And one more quick thing, I thought it was a cool standpoint on how easy and how formable that piece is. From concept to finished product was 4 hours.
Really?
So I thought that was relatively good because it's a really integrated piece, but it was 4 hours from concept to completion.
Well noted.
Cool.
Thank you very much. All right, Larry, we have one more participant.
Absolutely.
We bring it back up north.
We're going to bring it home to the west coast of Canada from Maple Ridge, BC. Want to introduce Tyler Neault from Certified Autosound and Security. And I'm going to take this time. A few episodes ago, I mistakenly I misspoke Certified's name, and I want to personally apologize to Pat Lee and Tyler and the rest of the crew at Certified Autosound, because we always talk about branding your company being so important, and they know how I feel about that. And with all the things going around in my head, I misspoke their name, and I wanted to take this time to personally apologize to that whole crew because they're top notch. So
Tyler Noah and the crew is no joke. We feature so much of their stuff on our CMA stuff. He knows that. I don't have to tell him. And that's why I made sure there was enough space under his face to put the entire shop name. Welcome back, Tyler.
Nice. Hey, Larry, thank you for that apology. I appreciate that.
It's just reality, dude. So thank you.
So, Tyler, you hear about this contest. You hear these guys are coming out with this new piece. You might have seen an image of it. It shows up at the shop. What are your first impressions?
My first impressions were it showed up at the shop like 2 weeks later than everybody else. So I was like seeing all these images online, and I was like, man, this thing's super cool. When am I going to get mine? So yeah, no, when I got it, it was super cool. We took it out of the package, and it had a great little feel, and it was tiny. It just sparked a lot of interest because it would be really easy to integrate to a lot of vehicles. So it was super cool. I was excited to get started.
So when you got it, you're like, which ride am I putting this in? What was your thought process? What was your concept?
I was putting it in my own personal vehicle right away. I knew that already because I had wrecked my Director Create that I had. So it was broken, so I needed one. So it actually worked out perfect for me. And yeah, I just jumped in my truck right away trying to find a great spot for it. So
you as well are running some Audiotec gear in your own personal ride?
Yes, I have to.
Interesting.
It's the best.
Not that you want to, right, Tyler?
No, I have to.
All right, so I got some images of what you did, and the first one basically starts with some machining or some routering. What's this all about?
Yeah, the first thing I wanted to do, my 2018 GMC Sierra has little chrome trim bezels around all the knobs and gauges in the vehicle. So right away we had to do something with aluminum and polish the edges just to keep it factory looking, right?
Okay.
And that, yeah, so the easiest spot for me that made sense and worked well was in my center console of the truck. There's two cigarette lighter ports that are regularly there, and I definitely don't use them, so I wanted to get rid of those, and that was like the perfect arm length away for me. Maybe not for a lot of other guys, but for me it was perfect length. And that panel was changeable. It's like a $50 panel from GM, so just pulled it out and started routering away at it. Wow. And that's it. That's all. Yeah, we added some leather in there to give it the, some texture that matches the dash, and polished the aluminum up, and away we went.
I mean, no doubt, obviously, for all the installs I've seen so far, this thing can pretty much match the factory color on the dash to a T.
I think it's pretty bang on. If you want to get really picky, it might be off a little bit, but I think it matches very well. It matches the shape of the OEM radio. That's kind of the shape I went with for it, and tried my best to make it look like it belonged.
There it is from a driver's view.
That's it. Yeah, I think I nailed it pretty good on OEM integration there.
Well, let's leave it to the judges. Let's see what they have to say. I'm going to go to Larry for this one.
Yeah, Tyler, very understated there. And actually, Jay, I'm going to pass this back over to you because you said it good yesterday. And Jay has a lot of eye for design on this. In his past life, he was involved in the RTTI school. He's been an installation trainer and all that other stuff. Now he's office guy, just sits in that Oval Office there.
All right, so let's go to Jay for the critical review.
Yeah, I'm old guy now. I mean, these guys are light years ahead, and with Tyler's, it was, you have to admire the attention to detail, right? If you really look at the polished aluminum and how it matches the polished aluminum or the polished parts on the truck, right? And then just the shape of it, it matches like perfectly. The thing that pushed me over the edge and why I thought it was super cool was if you look in between there, that texture Tyler put a piece of leather in there and it matches the dash. And I thought that was really cool because there aren't a lot of people, like somebody would look at that and goes, oh, that's cool. And it's got that aluminum ring. But when you look at the detail of that, of taking that extra time to go, there's a space and it's cosmetically, it's shaped like the factory, and, to put that next level of detail in there with the texture of the leather matching the dash, I thought was really cool. So it integrated really well. The detail was really, was spot on. I thought it was really good. So
thanks, Jay.
Nice work, Tyler.
How do you like the
Really
functionality, Tyler?
That's what blew me away even more than the feel of the knob and how small it was, how easy it was to use and set up. Like it was, I was kind of worried how the setup was going to be a nightmare. There's so many functions and so many options to it. And it was nothing. It was super easy. The fact that you can change the rotation of the LEDs and where it starts, everything was super easy to use about it. And that's what I loved about it.
Very, very cool.
Okay.
Well, stand by, Tyler. I'm just going to put you in the back, and we're going to bring everybody back in just a few seconds. Thank you, Tyler.
Thanks.
So just to review what I've heard so far before we bring everybody back, it seems like the review amongst these fabricators and integrators, there's some common themes going on. A, everybody loves it. B, the look and the feel. C, the control and the setup of the LEDs and all the options you have for the rotation, where it begins, where it ends, the colors and all that type of stuff. But what I really like about it is every single one of these guys did something completely different.
Yeah, and that's why from our position, it was like, holy cow, how do you judge something like this, especially when we know all of these guys so intimately of their creative skills and their personalities and their culture. And it was like, man, they all got a different take on what it should be and how it should be. And even just listening to them now, we learned a little bit more about everybody's concept when it comes down, because there's nothing like being, I don't want to say face to face, but in person, trying to figure this all out. So definitely wasn't an easy job for us. And maybe if we turn it back over to Chris, if he can maybe explain his feelings on that, and we'll get Jason's feelings, and then we'll.
Yeah, if we can set this up, and then I'll bring everybody back in for a final.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think it was an absolute blast seeing all of these things come together and come in and see so many interpretations of what could be done with this. Every one of them was totally different. Every one of them was unexpected. We had guys do stuff that was super OEM looking, guys that had a custom touch to it. I mean, I don't think anybody would dispute that Dave didn't just think outside the box. He took the box, threw it on the ground, and kicked it out the door. He was just on a totally other wavelength from what any of us expected to see. Same thing, you've got Tyler, who did such an amazing job creating a insanely OEM looking piece. Pierce's little details and scaling up the way it feels in there. Matt finding a way to integrate this into a car that's 4 decades old. And then Art coming through and giving a super practical, relevant application of an easy to use way, putting it up high, even right beside all of the lighting in the Volkswagen, which for a lot of controllers would be a questionable move, but with the touches that he's able to execute on that thing and keep that thing looking like a Volkswagen piece in there. I mean, everybody absolutely brought their A game to this event.
Very cool. Jason, I'll leave it with you before we bring him back. What's your last word on this?
So I think everyone really did really well. I think at the end of the day, everyone showed the possibilities of the controller and integrating it. And I think you said it best, Ben. It's like people, when they talk about DSP, they get scared of it because it's complicated. And all of these guys not only took the controller, but we forget that the controller connects to the best, hands down, DSP processors on the planet. So combining those two and getting the tuning and completing the audio system and creating that emotional touch and just having something that's tangible, because the DSP is not tangible, right? It's just a black box and you just put it aside. But having that controller that's tangible, that controls that, and Art said that controls that emotion, is
It connects
important.
you. It connects you to
Yeah.
your system, really.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to go
So I
ahead and
think
bring it
everyone
back.
did a great job.
We're going to go ahead and bring everybody back in. So we had, of course, Arturo, and we also had Pierce. Of course, we had Matt and Dave. And last but not least, wow, that's a lot of people on the screen. Holy cow. And we also had Tyler. So, Larry, I'm going to pass you over the mic, and let's get this done. Oh, your microphone, Larry. Let's make sure you turn that on. There you go.
Sorry about that. I realize everybody's got work to do, and I want to thank everybody for their time and their effort with this. Great work. So without further ado, I'm just going to lay it out. We've all explained everything that we saw, and with all of the parameters, we've all met as a MSE group with Doug and Matt and myself. And like they say on Oprah, everybody's going home with something, because we're going to give Art, dude, love you. Thanks for doing all you do. Your video, your constant posts, celebrating what we are in our culture. We're going to give Art a DSP Mini for all his work. Pierce and Matt, again, trying to judge all this custom fab and where everybody's mind's at is really, really tough. But thank you for your time and thank you for your efforts. Pierce and Matt are going to be awarded with a DSP 0.3 processor from Audiotec Fischer. Thanks, guys, for all you do. And then Mr. Dave Cause and Tyler Neault, from the fabrication perspective and everything. And as we started out the event with your relentless pursuit of getting this stuff out on social media and making it happen, Tyler and Dave are both going to be awarded with a DSP Ultra hand signed by the Fischer family out of Germany. So the DSP, congratulations to all of you. So the DSP minis and the DSP 0.3s will be sent out right away, the end of this week, early next week. Dave and Tyler, obviously yours pieces have got to come from Germany, because they'll be addressed to you.
I'm sure they're okay to wait a little bit longer for that. I'm sure they'll be okay with that.
Welcome.
Hey guys,
thank you to everybody. All right, man. Take care, Dave. I know you got to get back. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Thanks for competing and having fun with us.
All right. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being on CMA, and congratulations on all your work. And yeah, have fun with the new toys, guys. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So are we back? There we are. There you go, guys. Everybody's a winner. Yay.
That's awesome.
No, but you know what? At the end of the day, I think mission is accomplished. You know, when we were speaking about this piece, Larry, you were pretty excited. Everybody at MSC was excited, and at first, I wasn't 100% on board with the excitement. I'm going to be completely honest with you, because I'm not a fabricator. I'm not an integrator. I didn't really understand the scope of where this could go. But after watching this today, I have a much better appreciation and understanding for some of the challenges that these integrators face when it comes to installing. But more importantly, what I think I appreciate from that is the creativity that I saw today.
Yeah, it's so nice to see these guys give it their all for this, and it even more encouraging to us as we've built a product. I shouldn't say we, but Julian and the team back in Germany have built a piece where we gave them input. They've been working on this thing for a couple years, and we've made it configurable to make it as if you just want a sub-level control, it's a sub-level control. If you want to take it to the level that these guys are doing with source control and preset sound setups and subwoofer control and master volume and Bluetooth volume, it'll do all that too. And this, as Matt said, this piece got him to make the phone call to us to say, hey, we need to be a dealer, and to have them as a partner with the sound effects and Musaic crew is as important as all the other guys that we partner with. So the numbers, the digits, as Ben calls them, or
the digits are on the bottom of the screen, folks. If you want to become an Audiotec Fischer /Match/Brax /Helix dealer, I'll throw in, Blam in there too. Give these guys a call. MSC. If you want to talk to the American guy that's always in the sun, call Jason. If you want to talk to us hardworking Canadians that have to deal with snow once in a while, call either Chris or Larry. And the numbers are all there. Guys, that's a wrap for now. Great job on the contest. Once again, I want to personally congratulate all the fabricators that came on for their work, and hopefully they're going to be happy with the new toys, courtesy of MSC. Gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Thank
Take
you
care,
so much.
guys.
Yep,
Take care.
thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ben.
All right. And there you have it. Digits, once again, I'll leave them down for another 10 seconds. MSC for your Audiotec Fischer goodies, both USA and Canada. Make sure you give those boys a call. That was an exciting and cool one, something different here for CMA Connected, but just goes to show, having this platform, we can do lots of different things with it. We could train, we could teach, we could unveil, and we can have really cool-ish, like that contest that MSC just put on. Hey, thanks for tuning into this lunchtime learning session. We've got a big CMA Live coming up tonight. It's the motorcycle episode. Got some big brands on. Make sure you check that out at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you tonight here at CMA Live, and I'll see everybody else Friday on CMA Connected as we continue. Hey, I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.